Apologize, the stream stopped for some reason. Let's continue then. Hey, be my guest.
あなたがどこから外に出ようが関係ないもの。ただ、できれば私の前ではやらないでほしいだけよ。それより、あなた、本当に明日から学校に来るの？
来るよ。不安だけど案内してもらったし。
He bid her farewell before running away down the hallway. Shoppy would walk down the stairs and leave through the school entrance like a normal person.
はあ、大丈夫なのか？あんなんで。
The image of him disappearing into the distance popped into their head, in spite of her ire. She had no intention of spending any more time with him, and yet she felt strangely anxious. She couldn't tell if the feeling was followed by concern or irritation. Why had she even gotten angry with the significant transfer student in the first place? A strange day with a strange transfer student, resulting in strange emotions. Her head tilted as she rejected on what should have been a more enjoyable day than the irritating experience she just had.
いっか。どうせこれっきりなんだし。
Or as you think. The sound of the rain echoed quietly all around her. The grey sky seems frozen in time. It was impossible to discern whether it was morning or evening. Mr. Yamashiro and Aoko were likely the only one left in the school. The until classroom looked overly gloomy and ominous as Aoko stood in it alone. She pulled up her left sleeve. Her dainty, unremarkable watch showed that it was almost 1 o'clock.
時間合ってる。
She looked out the window at the grounds below. She saw a boy in uniform running through the rain without an umbrella, a sight she must have seen before, but for whatever reason affected her far more than she wished. Aoko did not stop at the faculty room before heading home. While Mr. Yamashiro offered to drive her home was tempting, she decided it would ultimately be far more satisfying to run his day just as he had hers.
Leon Mare is now live, streaming Witch on the Holy Night, staring at the moon.
You're late, TTS-chan. What have you been doing? She walked as quietly as she pulled toward the entrance and opened her bright red umbrella. As she had predicted that morning, the rain was falling in the afternoon. At this rate, it will probably cease completely in an hour or so. The distant sunshine would likely have reached her by the time she arrived home.
ま、それも悪くないか。
She shrugged her shoulder in resignation. She neither liked or disliked rain, but she found herself enjoying her walk home with a red umbrella in hand. Teachers at Misaki High School weren't fond of bright colors, so August's red umbrella was an unusual sight. A ghost story about how the umbrella was once pure white had been making the rounds, but it featured Aoko instead of a ghost. How many rumors she has surrounding her? It was with that umbrella that she made her way towards Misaki's station. The private Misaki High School got its name from the town of the same name. The area was once a sprawl of farmland and woodland, but rapid growth over the last 10 years had led to unprecedented modernization. There were some who fought to preserve Misaki natural treasures.
残すことには賛成ですが、それでは残すだけになってしまうでしょう。
With those words, the major snuffed out the voice of the minority and unshared in a long-term plan for a new urban development. More than enough funds for the urban development were collected, and the unassuming town of Misaki became the largest municipality of Misaki City in merely 10 years. Even though it lacked the modernity of neighborhood Yashiroji, or the elegance of Misaki Hill.
それも当然よね。どういじくってももともとが山中の宿場町だし、山ごと切り崩すって言うんなら別だけど。
Urbanization had been contained to the lowlands around the station, with the most of the hills and mountains still standing as they did 10 years prior. The exhaustion of founder succeeded in proceeding the old Misaki where the citizen could not. It became a truly hot suburban town, welcoming an increasingly urban population, with its vestige of old country charm. Misaki High School was a private school established long before the town's current state. The original campus, built 50 years ago, was located high up in the mountains, making the current location its second incarnation. The path to the old ground was remote, steep, but also well trodden by animals. For these reasons, among others, Misaki High School had been shuttered until almost 20 years ago, when they received a donation from a department store chain that allowed for the construction of a new campus in the city. And thus, Misaki High School reopening its doors, the old woodland campus forgotten. In fact, most of the students attending Misaki High School were not from Misaki at all. The heartily rustic people of the country town prefer prefectural schools to private ones. Truth be told, Aoko herself was one of them. All she had wanted after junior high school was to move to Tokyo, where she hoped to spend her days, enjoy live music, on her way to entering a public university. But her hopes were dashed with her sister's departure, as there she was, walking alone in town with only a red umbrella to keep her company on what should have been day off.
思い返してみると、私の人生ってなんか災難続きっぽい。
The frustration evaporated into the cold December air.
でもいっか。退屈だけはしないわけだし。
With those words, her mood brightened a bit as she left the school in her wake. The busiest part of town met her at the bottom of the gently sloping road. Misaki's train station was brand new. While Lucy operated in an abandoned factory, it had been renovated into a multi-purpose structure with a huge department stores on its east and west side. When the department store first opened, Aoko and her friends had been impressed with their modern feel, but in time, the stores too became dated. She had no shopping to do today, so she passed them by. What she really wanted to do was the rest at the cafe, but she fought the urge, knowing her roommate will never let her hear the end of it if she frittered away her money. She looked back and blinked. For just a moment, she could have sworn she had seen someone suspicious in a red dress out of the corner of her eyes. It must have been her imagination. The sixth sense chill she was experiencing down her spine was a familiar one at this point. She continued her walk on, brushing off the event as if it had never happened. In time, the chill faded, and all that was left was the sound of the town. She sighed heavily. Had she imagined it? If it had all been in her head, she was far from comfortable with the feeling that still lingered.
夏場の方ってもう少しこう。
She grumbled under her breath.
波乱万丈、商売繁盛、諸行無常と。そうそう、忙しさに愚痴を言っても始まらないわ。
Unfortunately, summer and bugs go hand in hand. She could see how bugs could be drawn to all the sweet fruit. Frantic breeze and heat The kitchen was closed for the time being. The lunch rush had come and gone. But one last battle remained, dinner time. Only after the evening chaos could the kitchen crew remove their white armor and call it a day. In the midst of the war zone was a lone newcomer.
これ着るんですか？
His voice was uneasy, betray how never I knew he was.
気持ちはわかる。俺もどうかと思うけど、店長の言うことだから、もう笑顔で乗り越えてくれ。これも商店街の明日のためなんだとよ。本気で申し訳ないんだが、雨も止んだし、なんとか行ってきてくれないか？無事帰ってきたら晩飯おごってやっから。
His bright orange co-worker clasped his hands together, as if to beg for forgiveness, as he saddled him with his unreasonable task. Ten years ago, Misaki City was a town of farmer woodland. But everything had changed. The front of the station was now lined with tall multi-story buildings, and the residential area were similar full of apartment complex. The once rustic scenery around the station had long become a thing of the past. Shirenoi-Tsuruka was the only place in the city that still contained a vestige of the old town, a pocket of the past inside an urban jungle. The road extended up a conspicuous high hill to an old residential district, far from the hustle and bustle of the train station. Long ago, it had been considered unwise to build on high ground, so nobody lived above a certain elevation. Shironizuka, sitting as it did at the top of the hill, in the middle of the town, was no exception to the convention, and no resident to speak of. The asphalt continued for some time, eventually giving way to a mountain road that was swallowed into the cover of trees. A lone vending machine stood to mark the boundary between town and beyond. Even the children knew there was nothing beyond the new playground in development that so enthralled them. Well, that was not entirely true. There was nothing beside the haunted house. Aoko Ozaki transfers the long slope. Below her, she could see the wall of Misaki. The symmetrical town would look like a miniature set from the height. Would look like a painting if there had been a scene next to it. But, unfortunately, Misaki City was very much landlocked. While it was overcast at the moment, the scene was quite breathtaking on the clear evening. The view was the one thing that made the arduous climb worthwhile, and today she had been denied even that.
ああ、雨の日は自転車も使えないし、1日に2回ぐらいバスでも通ってくれないもんかな、ほんと。
Aoko had been using this road to get to school for almost 2 years now, but the journey had never gotten easier.
あれ、鍵 鍵閉まったまま？アリス、まだ帰ってきてないんだ。
With a very shrug, she put her hand on the rusty iron fence. Quietly, the heavy gate swung open, if to welcome her home. There sits atop that hill a haunted house. That is how the story much shared around town used to begin. The fresh rumors about the house had sprung to life almost as fast as the town's modernization. Despite being dilapidated and abandoned for many years, lights can be seen inside the house at night. An angry murder of crows often gather atop the hill before mysteriously vanishing. Children get lost in the fog, never to be seen again. Late at night, a shrieking sound can be heard all the way to the town. This particular piece of slander was the one Aoko wished to discredit the most. Discredit. The final rumor was of an eye-catching luxury car that sometime made its way up down the hill. The rumor spread and grew by the day. Rumors about her, where she lives. Poor girl, can take a break. And while they grew, the house that everyone thought had rotted away was restored over the recent years. Deep in a wood on top of a hill, no one dared to approach. Like a ruin, shrouded from a view even of the brightest of day, stood a relic out of a time, a building from a fairy tale. The house. Was the Kunshi mansion. Everyone in town knew about the witch house on the hill. The unabashedly haunted house where Aoko Aotsaki resided for reason unknown. Needless to say, it was not really haunted. The Koji family home was a grand western-style mansion with a long and storied history, stretching all the way back to England. It was too small to be a dormitory, yet too big to be called a house. The main building contained as many as 3 normal houses worth of rooms. It was surrounded by a large hall, encompassing courtyard. The perimeter of the ground was surrounded by a high iron fence cover in thorny vines. There was also an annex to the main building. Given such extravagance, it was no wonder that it inspired rumors. To the town resident, the mere existence of such a lavish and out-of-place mansion on top of the hill was a cause for suspicion. Rumors last, as slender were the prices to be paid for fame. With only 2 lodgers, it is hard to disagree with the perception the vampire must be living here. Oh no, not again vampires.
ま、私はともかく、アリスはそういうのやりかねないし。
Yeah, they are quite sharing Tsukihime. She put her hand on the front door. It was a grand double door that would have spared well with a brass lock, and yet it was secure with a lot more than a simple keyhole. Pushing it open with one hand, she entered the supposedly haunted house. And by the way, if vampire were not enough to scare you, ghosts were known to appear on certain nights. Much like the weather outside, the foyer was overcast with shades of grey. Perhaps by deliberate design, the architect had chosen not to include any lights in the entrance area. I see them. The ceiling was 2 floors high. The only light in the room came from the skylight. It was particularly gloomy on rainy days. A moonless night, it was like the world itself ceased to be. Aoko decided the drawing room to the east would be a good place to rest. Annoyed she would not be able to relax until change clothes, she started up the stairs. The stairs go up the wall to the second floor hall. There was a third floor attic as well, accessible from the far end of the hall. She had never set foot in there in 2 years. She lived here too. The Koji mansion was more or less divided in 2 wings, east and west. Aoko had been given the entire east wing, but 2 rooms were more than enough as far as she was concerned. She had no desire to open a door that would trap you in a storybook world or lead to an attic that had only been used for storage the last 5 years. Aoko's room was at the end of the east wing's long corridor. She had elected for a smaller room for one another reason, other than that she thought it would be easier to clean. It was furnished with a large bed, her beloved mahogany desk, a wardrobe and just for her clothes, and 2 9-shelved bookcases. That is all she brought with her from home. Her entire life of 16 years reduced to this. But don't be too disappointed. She borrowed the next room down for her own purpose.
そうだ、アリスにもらった見張りと壊れてないかチェックしないと。
She needed to see if the project she had been working on all night had borne fruit. The study next door served as proof of the life she had been living for the last years, and how different the life was from the one she had lived before. She's a magic. It was not a room for the person she had been. It was a room for the person she would eventually become. A place of solitude, the only she could enter. Or so she thought.
うわ、壊れてるどころか跡形もなく消え去ってる。やっぱ自己流アレンジはまだ早かったか。いいわよ、笑いなさいよ、コマドリ。
The nosy neighbor that had intruded upon her sanctuary flew away. While not exceptionally talented, Aoko did not lack for effort and was not afraid to fail. One could almost mistaken her approach for optimism. She changed out her uniform and returned to the first floor. Down the stairs, she opened the door to the east wing, into the corridor, as dark as a cellar. The absence of windows meant it was pitch black, without the light on, so she flickered the switch and entered the nearby doorway. It had been her idea to update the drawing room. The walls were decorated with extravagant patterns, and around the room were large, majestic sofas, and a luxurious Persian rug. Oh, one too. Not too luxurious still. Amidst it all was a 30-inch television that seemed completely out of place. He stood looking over the other furniture like the emperor with no clothes. The mansion's owner would have rather done without it, but to a newcomer like Aoko, it was an essential commodity. They had fought over the presents at first, but eventually come to an agreement, and now mutually enjoyed its modern comfort.
なんだ、人のことは言えないか。うちも案外時代錯誤な家だった。
Now in somewhat a pleasant mood, she decided to brew some tea. She escaped me the time period. They say this is post-war? So we are like in the 15 and 16? With a flop she sank into the sofa. She took a sip of her tea, then another. Excuse me 1 second. No, it was a stupid assumption. The television looked more modern. The sofa must seem to be inviting her, as she sank ever further into his comforting embrace. I also saw a VHS recorder, so impossible. Alco barely opened her eyes. She lifted her body up from the cushions. Alice? It was no dream or delusion. At some point, a girl had sat down across from her. Not the least bit surprised, she reached for her teacup. But the tea within had gone completely cold.
寝てた。
She asked the question to the girl on the other side of the table.
ええ。
The girl answered without lifting her gaze. When silent, she could have been mistaken for a beautiful doll. The girl sitting on the opposite sofa was reading an old book. She had delicate limbs and pale white skin. Not a hint of humanity emanated from her melancholic aura. She had darker hair than Aoko, and her icy eye were focused on the passage in front of her. Pages. Her clothes resembled that of a nun, but were actually her school uniform. In Aoko's humble opinion, the gloominess suited her. She walked something like out of a painting. Kinda reminded me of Karen no Shoujo. The painting within the game was also called Karen no Shoujo. There was something unreal about her, if she were frozen in time. The white of her neck was lovely that even Aoko found herself enchanted by it. The girl was one of the haunted house 2 residents. Her name was Alice Koji, and she was the same age as Aoko.
1時間と少し。ここで眠ると風邪ひくわよ。
Alice answered indifferently, not that it bothered Aoko, who was now used to it. She looked at the clock on the wall and saw that it was already 7. She had been asleep for 2 hours. The day had been a rough one for her, as she had slept little the night before, so it was no surprise she had dozed off for as long as she had.
起こしてくれてもよかったのに。せっかくの紅茶が冷めちゃったじゃない。
私が来た時はもう冷めてたわ。
でしょうね。行ってみただけよ。
Aoko drank down the rest of the cold tea in one gulp. In the poorly heated Koji mansion, there was more than enough to clear her head and wake up.
こうなるとフォートナム&メイソンも何もないわね。おかえりアリス。玉の贅沢もあんた抜きじゃ閉まらないってことかしら。今日は薬日か天中殺か。ちょっと早いけどお参りってのも十分ありかもね。
Aoko shrugged her shoulder as if resigning herself to her fate.
それで何があったの？
After 2 years together, they knew each other quite well. Aoko had one way of asking questions, being straight by being straightforward, and Alice had another. Alice asked without raising her head, and Aoko gave her the details.
まず謝らなくちゃいけない。昨日徹夜で完成させた例のあれ、意味がなくなっちゃったのよ。ちょっと目を離した隙に沸騰しすぎて壊れちゃったみたい。そうならないよう循環のコードを 2,3 本外したり縫合したりしたんだけど。
Oh, she's quite pretty, not gonna lie. Aoko tried to laugh it off, as it was someone else's problem.
どういうこと？
今朝休養が入って学校に呼び出し受けたの。そこで転入生の世話を押し付けられて一日が無残にも消費されちゃって、帰ってきたら跡形もなく消えてました。怒る？アリス。
別に青子の器物破損にいちいち怒っていたら一生分の口論をすることになるでしょ。代用品はあるからまた一から始めればいいわ。それより怒ってるのはあなたの方じゃないの？
Alice was very much on point today. It was true that, despite outward appearance, Aoko was nothing with frustration. That aside,
この転入生っていうのがひどくずれててね。すごい山奥で暮らしてたらしくて、こっちの常識が通じないんだから。 三問以下って言葉があるけど、あれって本当のことなのね、アリス。
Alice raised her head in response to hearing her name. But Aoko kept going on before she could get a word in edgewise. Aoko, after all, expected no sympathy in the first place.
初対面から尺に触るやつだったけど、教室を案内した時なんか失神しそうになったわ。
Apologies again.
そいつ、教室で教師と1対1で授業を受けるもんだと思ってたらしいの。ええ、それはそれでまだ流せる。許容範囲よ、あの程度の冗談は。で、私が簡潔かつ丁寧に教室の何たるかを教えた後で、そいつなんて言ったと思う？それで青崎、他の教室は何に使うんだ？ですって。教室に他も何もないでしょ？なんていうか、そいつは少しでも説明を怠るとそのままで納得しちゃうのよ。何も疑問に思わないというか、想像力が欠如してるっていうか、想像することに慣れてないっていうか。まあ一度言ったことはちゃんと分かってるっぽいからバカってわけじゃないんだけど。
あなたが人を批評するのは珍しいわね。そういうダメな人気にするたちだったの？
みじんたりとも気にしないわよ。けど明日からどんな間違いをしでかすのかちょっと心配なだけ。
What she was really worried about was having to clean up the mess if and when it happened. That had to be it. If not, it would mean she had no real idea why she could not get him out of his head.
とにかく変なやつなの。案外アリスと気が合うかも。
三問一回はいい言葉ね。
But from her eyes it was clear that the question of whatever they would get along with was irrelevant, given they would never met in the first place. Aoko gave a non-committal response.
ところでアリス、さっきから何読んでるの？
霊的進化論の二次創作。 スピリチュアルダイアリのまがいもの。
ああ、スウェーデンボリー。そんなの今更読んでも仕方ないんじゃない？
新書なら退屈だけど、これは偽書だから。彼の欠点と長所を劇的に褒め上げている。よくできた冒険小説のようよ。立ちはだかる秘密組織の名前がカントとか気が利いているわ。筆跡はあなたのおじいさんのものだけど。
へえ、あの人そういう趣味まであったんだ。割とユーモアがあったのね。惜しい人を亡くしたわ。
Rocco seemed nostalgic over her now deceased grandfather.
あなたのおじいさん、夏に頼りをくれたけど。
よしてよ、死んだものと考えたいのに。
Rocco sat and laid back to the sofa. The soft cushion caved in under her weight.
話は戻るけど。
Alice shot glance at Aoko. Her body, buried in the sofa, remained still as a corpse. It was clear Aoko had turned out of the conversation. Alice silently criticized her with a look. The more she thought about it, the less important the events of the day seemed to become. If she just ignored Alice, the conversation will end here. They will eventually get up and leave today's mistake unresolved for another day. However, that's not the kind of person Aoko Ozaki was.
いいわよ。何？
Jack still lying down.
今日できなかったのは少し痛いわね。
だから反省してるって。学校優先は一人前になってからでしょ。
ならいいけど。
The coldness in her voice made Aoko gnash her teeth. She knew what Alice wanted to say. She knew better than anyone. The demeanor she wore for school was different than the way she lived at home. While it could be called hiding in a plain sight, Alice thought it was silly. And what the silence told her was,
覚悟を決めろって言いたいのよね、あんたは。
today's failure was not a colossal one. She just happened to upset the delicate balance between her home and school lives, chasing one at the expense of the other. And yet, the careless mistake was a clear sign of Aoko's lack of commitment.
アリスは関係ない。これは私が私で決めなくちゃいけないこと。
She had only known for sure for the last year and a half. But she had a hunch for as long as she could remember. Make the choice, and the day will come. It was little wonder that her morals and conscience has been stripped away. Aoko pushed herself back up. She was met by Alice's cold beauty and wordless gaze.
オッケー、アリス。来週中に決着をつけよう。それでいいんでしょ？
ええ、青子がいいなら。
Aoko could not help but shake her head, feeling like she was hearing something similar for the second time that day. Even in the comfort of her home, she couldn't banish thoughts of that country boy from her mind.
じゃあ下準備はよろしくね。私まだできないし。
場所は例の公園でいい？
妥当な線ね。あ、でももう一件の方は？そっちの方が急務じゃない？
時と場合、森に変化があれば教えるわ。
After the brief exchange, Alice returned her attention to the book on her lap. Shop talk was over. Now they could return to their normal relationship as roommates. Aoko grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. Since Ali was busy reading, Aoko decided to tune into a variety show that had already started. Ali started to speak but suddenly cut herself off. One of their delicate hands raised to her mouth. She always cut herself off the second she realized she was about to say something trivial. Sometimes her self-restraint would lead too late, and she would make a gesture like the one she was making now. It occurred to Aoko that the sounds her cute little roommate made just now was different than what she blurted in time past.
何？
Aoko turned down the volume of the TV. Her intense eyes lit up like those of a mischievous cat.
どうということはないんだけど。
でも、
ないんだけど。
Alice looked away bashfully. I don't know if she will bring it up or not. Alice for some reason reminded me I haven't saved for a while. Right from the beginning. For some reason.
今日帰ってくるときおかしなものを見て誰かに話そうと思っていたんだけど。
Aoko nodded, beckoning her to continue.
つまらない、本当に意味のないことよ。けどどう考えてもそんなことをする理由がわからない。青子、人間ぐらいの大きな猫がひょこひょこ出前をする理由ってわかる？
For a second, Aoka thought Alice was trying to and failing miserably to make a joke again. One would think that about anyone, really. But she seemed completely serious. Even if Alice's sense of humor fell flat for Aoko, the story already sounded more fanciful than Alice's usual attempt at jokes. Aoko concluded that her roommates was talking about something she had actually seen.
その話には2つぐらい信じがたい部分があるけど、1つずつ論破していい？
いいの。私もからくりぐらいは思いつくから。ただ理由がわからないから聞いてるの。わざわざ精巧な猫のぬいぐるみを着て出前の天や物を届けに行くことってそんなに簡単かしらね。
難易度以前にそれをやる人間の常識性を疑うけどね、私は。
Alice nodded tentatively at her words.
まあ世の中いろいろあるから、私たちみたいなのもいれば、下界から遮断された山奥で暮らしていたやつまで10人といるよ。私だったら見かけたら声かけて理由を尋ねただろうけど。
Alice's gaze drifted at that.
暮れゆく住宅街にさまよう出前猫か。背景が夕焼けだったらファンタジーだったでしょうに。で、今日の夕飯どうする？せっかく話が出たし、私らもてんやものにしようか。
Aoko loved getting takeout, and her face glowed as she spoke. There are no hard rules for dinner, but if one of them was in the mood to cook, they made it a point to make enough for two. At the very worst, they spent entire weeks without dinner, but the two of them agreed it was the system that worked best for them. Whatever they found cooking to be too much effort or simply like ordering out. Nights like this one were a common occurrence, much to the chagrin of the restaurant of Misaki Town. Delivering to the mansion meant coming all the way up to the top of this hill, the source of their disgruntlement.
時間は8時前。ギリギリセーフね。私今月がいいな。あそこの月見そば最近ご無沙汰だったし。
The angry student council president took out their many menus and excitedly looked for anything that stood out. Alice casually responded without sparing so much as a glance.
悪いけど私夕飯済んでるの。
With those words, Aoko froze. All deliveries require a minimum of 2 items, so she was out of luck without an accomplice. Cruel society had decided it couldn't be bothered to deliver to a princess who only ordered a single serving of food. Incidentally, to counterattack orders from the Hilltop mansion, the restaurants had declared. The minimum number of orders will be 3, starting next year. Aoka and Alice were still in the dark to this fiendish change in direction.
この裏切り者だから帰ってくるのが遅かったのね。帰宅部、学校までバス徒歩込みで片道20分のあんたがなんで5時以降に帰ってくんのか考えるべきだったわ。
Unfortunately for Aoko, she had been too out of it to remember that she was the one who fell asleep.
ああ、ひどい女。そういう時は残された一人のためにお土産買ってくるのが暗黙の了解だったのに。私だってこの前の外食の時はアリスの分も買ってきたじゃない。
It was unknown how serious Aokos was being, but she was visibly angry. She had already woken up angry that morning, and from the time she was called into school until now, she had consumed nothing but tea. It was a small miracle that her stomach was not growling. She knew it was her own fault, but she persisted, waiting to get revenge on Alice for scolding her earlier.
この前ってあれのこと？あなたが都心に出向いた時、夕食にお寿司を食べてきたのに、お土産はなぜかコンビニエンスストアのビニール袋だったって話
Aoka had kept Kikaorne's net.
何よ、買ってこないよりはマシでしょ。
真実は時に隠蔽すべきね。
Alice's icy gaze pierced right through her. Aoka certainly crossed a line by going on about how the sushi circled around the restaurant while Alice ate her convenience store mall. But new things fascinated her, and she couldn't contain her curiosity towards the conveyor belt sushi shops that started popping up at the time. They were nothing short of miraculous. Even honesty can be a sin, given the right circumstances.
わかった、わかりました。じゃあ今回のは前のと帳消しってことでいいわね。
Alice went back to her book without so much as recognizing the question. The fact she did not confirm it made Aoka anxious.
仕方ない。今日は薬日だし、おとなしく台所に立って料理の腕を磨くとしましょう。
Just make a large order and save it to the fridge for the other days. She stood up, announcing her intent to no one in particular.
聞き忘れてた。アリス、どこで夕食済ませたの？
Ah, now she will get her revenge. Alice sent frozen on her current page. She suddenly shut the book she was reading and stood up, as if a wheat stand. She walked across the drawing room with her book in hand. When she reached the door, she stopped and turned towards Saoko.
聞きたい。
なんとなく。
Aka nodded timidly, cowed by Alice's sudden vigor. Alice continued in her matter-of-fact way.
その猫が余ったメニューをくれたのよ。
With a brief response, she left the room. Well, already saved. What are these? I see spoilers.
「都会は魔界だ」けど慣れれば割と住みやすいとは思う。
Sujiro sighed listlessly. He looked down at the winter schoolyard below, lost in thoughts. December was written on the corner of the chalkboard. He could not believe 10 days had already passed since he transferred to the school. The last vestiges of autumn had faded with the change of the moon. The trees were all but barren, and the ground below them a mat of fallen leaves. Fourth period was a classic. An elderly teacher stood at the thick lectern and rambled on. When he had finally gotten used to the classroom, he still had a long way to go to get up to speed in his classes. Lacking even the basic understanding of student behavior in their early scholastic life, it was a battle for Sojiro to keep up. Even if he was unable to grasp all the content right away, he at least tried to memorize everything in the hope that he could make use of it down the road. Which is why losing himself in thoughts was about the last thing he should have be doing. He would normally cast himself for daydreaming, but Troublingly, he was unable to concentrate in class today. Sojiro could not place the source of his lack of concentration. It could not have been the winter in the city. It was much milder and in the mountains. Neither was his part-time job particularly tiring. He was not any more physically fatigued than the average student, so they could not be it either. Others might conclude that it was because the courses were boring, but they seem off the mark too. Sojiro did not share his classmates' opinions about their classes. On the contrary, he rather enjoyed his class time. No, his frame of mind was not to blame either. Trying to figure out what was wrong only made him more depressed.
いけない。こんなんじゃ気が散る一方だ。
He scolded himself and turned his attention to the chalkboard. The rhythmic ticks of the clock were sending him into a slumber, but somehow managed to resist their lullaby. And yet he was still unable to focus on the class. Sojiro reflected silently at what was his custom, and sighed inwardly. Deep down he knows the real source of his agitation. Ten events of the previous night were the only thing it could be. With a crime to signal the end of class, the teacher bowed and exited the hallway. To see him off, the 30 or so students stood up from their desk. The clock, which had seemed to slow dramatically around 11:30, now struck noon. The tension seemed to fade from the room all at once. The release from a difficult lesson was the start of lunchtime, the highlight of school life. Misaki High's cafeteria was not particularly known for its quality of food. Complained that the quality was below that of a private school went unheeded. And the same unique flavors appeared on the menu each and every day. Private school prices coupled with subpar quality led by a majority of students to opt for boxes lunches instead. Sojiro class 2nd C was no exception. The boy muscled as many stand desks into what resembled a long dining table. Conversely, the girls divided themselves into smaller tables of 2 or 3 desks with practice as ease and started chatting with their clique. Not a single student wasted even a second of their precious lunchtime. But both sides different in method, they share a common goal. Time to socialize Shojiro. Shojiro was struck down by the efficiency of the transformation. Even after 10 days, he was unable to keep pace with the rest of the class, and remained seated where he had sat during the previous period.
おい、こっち来いよ、しずき。
Oh, he already made friends. The voice came from the large makeshift dining table near the window. Kyosuke Kinami was beckoning him over while leaning back in his chair in a way that looked like he could fall backward at any second. He was regularly shut down by others in the class for being lazy and crass, but his earnest nature kept him from getting on anyone's bad side. Though sometimes I could be sad for not being so forthcoming all the time too.
飯にしようぜ、飯。俺さ、昨日店の残り物もらいすぎたんだよ。春巻きだよ、春巻き。それを見た親父がさ、もらったもんは残すなってうるさくてさ。食いもん、春巻きしかねえんだわ。
It seems the endgame was to find someone who might take pity on him and trade him up for something better. The two of them work at the same restaurant, so he was one of the few people Soichiro knew before starting school. It was also the reason Sojiro was able to learn the true meaning of the phrase "can live with them, can live without them."
お、いいな。しずきも来いよ。今日は待ちに待った缶詰祭りをすっからさ。ついに結婚するのかよ。誰か冷静になった方がいいんじゃないのか、実際。バカ、すげえ楽しいってきっと。そりゃパチモン臭いけど、カニ缶とか食い放題なんだぜ。サバ缶じゃなくて。
マジやったー、俺も参加する。コンビーフは一人一個、それとも早い者勝ち？
お前な、一人で何個も食えるもんじゃねえぞ、あれ。うまいのは最初の一個だけだって。しずきたちが来るならノルマは一人7個に下がるのか。助かるな。
ところで木の実の弁当の中身、なんか缶詰より硬そうじゃね？
The boys usually pass the time by making fun of each other's lunches, but today they were united against a common foe. A pyramid of countless cans stood in the middle of the table. They all been taken from the pantry of a certain student's house, and the expiration dates on them had all been scribbled out with a marker.
よし野郎ども、各自毎缶切りの用意はいいな。食べるも地獄、残すも地獄。我ら5次元目の授業はないものと恐れぬ修羅となり、鉄の悪魔どもを平らげん。食材は下町の何でも紹介、マーケット中山からの提供です。
ヒュー、バカも休み休み、イエーイ。
The boys united as one and hoisted their can opener into the air.
ほら、しずきも食べようぜ。缶切りならまだあるからさ。
いや、君らの弁当の毒味はごめんだって昨日言ったはずだ。それにその缶詰半分以上賞味期限切れてるだろ。
なんだよ、釣れねえな。
Quite an inexplicably excited group of guys. The real motivation seemed to be to spread the pain. When moved by their energy conceding defeat, Sojiro got up from his seat and joined them. Before he could,
じゃあ私たちが釣り上げようかな。しずきくん、あんなの放っておいて一緒にどう？
another interest party joined the fray. A girl with short but stylish hair had called out to him. She had also tried to get Sojiro to join the track and field club several days earlier.
いや、そっちも遠慮したいな、できれば。
He answered with a troubled look on his face. On the table was nothing but a pile of fruit Sojiro had never seen before.
なんで？パパイヤとか嫌い？マンゴーもあるし、ヤシの実だってあるし、内緒だけど夕張メロンもあるんだから。
The members of the fruit group bumped their fists in unison at the last delicacy.
待て、なんだヤシの実って、あれ食えるもんなの？
あ、マンゴー余ったら回してほしいな。
バカ、肉食え肉。そんなんだから貧弱な体してんだぞお前ら。
Sojiro couldn't keep track of all the voices flying across the room.
わかるのはどっちも破滅的だってことだけだ。
That being said, he found it difficult to refuse them outright. His tendency to accept others' goodwill at face value occasionally left him frozen with indecision. Not accustomed to regular human interaction, he was unable to judge when it was or was not appropriate to turn someone down. Someone tapped the lost little lamb on the shoulder.
ほっとけほっとけ。いちいちここのバカどもに付き合ってちゃ人生台無しだ。 適当に流しとけばいいんだよ。ほら、お前らもな、善良な羊を悪の園に引きずり込んでんじゃねえよ。
An inappropriately loud voice echoed through the classroom from behind him.
副会長。
Sojiro turned sound to see a boy about a head taller than him. More like a forehead taller. His long hair, while unkempt, had been brushed back, giving it an appealingly windswept look. His attractive features revealed the content of the classroom his eyes carried. Unlike the perpetually dopey-looking Sojiro, he was an extremely attractive boy, capable of captivating anyone who so much as glanced at him. In most cases, such a boy's presence would be met with awe and respect. However,
なんだよ、副会長様のお出ましかよ。てめえらのバカ顔にはコリゴリだって学食に陣取ってたんじゃなかったのかよ。
へへへ、ここは見ての通りボンクラどもが集う貧民街でございますよ。王子はほら A 組の綺麗どころとカフェでお茶でもしてればいいじゃない。
またしずき呼びに来たのかよ。青子女子といい、飛び丸殿下といい、しずきなんかヤバいことしちゃったのか。
しずきくんは高速違反しないじゃん。ちょっとそれ以外のルール破るだけで。ってことはやっぱり築地くん、青崎に振られてからそっちに走ったって本当だったのね。
they continued to give him a hard time. Sojiro could not help but feel sorry for him. The class vice president, on the other hand, showed absolutely no reaction whatsoever. He glared at them with a bored look and simply raised his voice.
相変わらず無駄に元気があって結構じゃねえか、てめえら。そんなに活力たぎってんなら冬季特別清掃班にだって参加できるよな。おい、今んところ自主的に申し出てるのは全校で一人しかいねえんだ。西全員が参加すりゃ俺も青崎も肩の荷が下りるってもんなんだがよ。
The menacing growl in the voice contrasts greatly with the boy's well-constructed looks. Both Team Can and Team Fruit both were doused like a fire being smooth red. This was partially due to their fear of the boy, but mostly due to their fear of the special winter cleaning team. Yes, the special winter cleaning team. Johnny meant spending part of your winter break cleaning up the old school building, a mountainous rear courtyard that had been neglected by the previous student council. It was a form of legalized torture that could potentially ruin 3 whole days of your winter break. Forget about any compensation in form of extra credits. No, There was pointless volunteer work for a student council project. It was particularly a miracle that they had found even a single volunteer.
いや僕らちょっと体弱いんでスミッチョで缶詰食べてますね。
私たちも貧血気味でこうやって果物食べてないと死んじゃうっていうか、冬休みはもう予定いっぱいっていうか。
If you're anemic, you will need more iron. Eat stick. All of the students but one scuffled away.
よし、昼食はやっぱり静かにやらねえとな。一年坊主の教室より2年の教室の方がやかましいなんて苦情。いい加減にしやがれよ、アホども。
The one meekly scurried away. Suggested to join them, but as he did,
あ、お前はこっちだ、宗次郎。ちょい顔貸せ。
the hand on his shoulder held him in place.
だよ、生徒会応募。人んちのテーブルマナーまで指図してほしくねえよな。
Kiyomi curses under his breath to his friend, the second his prize present to go.
はあ、上等じゃねえか、木の実。いいぜ。お前が記念すべき2人目だ。冬休み、首を洗って待ってやがれ。
The vice president must have heard anything Kiyomi said, because he gave a thumbs up before forgettably jabbing in his eyes.
はあ？何言ってんですか、あいつ。あれ自主的なイベントじゃん。いくら副会長だって強制はできないですよね。
The problem child of Class C laughed merrily.
そりゃ昨日までの話だ。会長の提案が学校側に受理されてな。本日付で生徒会役員は強制力のある推薦権をもらえたんだよ。特に会長と副会長の推薦は絶対だ。拒否した場合、学校側はともかく青崎が何するか俺には止められねえから、そのつもりでな。
それ事実上の死刑宣告じゃ。生徒会マジ応募。
Kiyomi, terrified and shrieking, continued behind them as the vice president and Sojiro left the classroom.
「お前も大変だな、宗十郎。
あんたも割と暇なんだな、副会長。
The two entered the empty student council room. The Saki High Student Council had use of two rooms. One was a large office specifically made for the student council. The second was an archive room, once used as a preparatory office for math courses. As the latter of the two, the walls were lined with densely packed shelves, making an elderly cramped room seem even more confined. For this reason, he served more as a private refuge to the student council. The two students sat across from one another. Tobimura Tsukiji. He was the son of the chairman of Misachi High School and the vice president of the school council. Like Sojiro, he was in his second year and first met his transfer student a week earlier when the task of looking after him was dumped into the student council.
副会長はやめろって。クソったれな話だが、俺は所詮会長の犬だからな。
As self-deprecating as his words were, he utterly seemed dissatisfied with the arrangement. He took a snack from his pocket, a grimace at it before taking a bite. The 100-calorie energy bar sacrificed flavor for efficiency, but somehow not enough to prevent him growing on it like a piece of jerky.
そうか。でも犬は良くないな、飛び丸。
Sojiro sat in the chair with a concerned look on his face.
あ？犬がどうしたって？
犬は良くないって言った。例えが違う気がするし、何より怖いぞ、あれ。
なんだよ。山奥育ちのくせに犬が怖いのか？
そりゃ大抵の生き物は怖いけど、犬は別格だ。怒涛を組んだ野犬ほど始末に追えないものはない。足の速さも脅威だけど、何より執念深すぎる。坂だろうと追いかけてくるし、最後の一匹になるまで引かないんだぞ。
Sojiro opened his lunch as he spoke. Inside the bright green cloth, 3 beautiful made triangular rice balls.
ショックだ。
ショックって何が？
いや、そんなこの世のものとは思えない握り飯を見たのは初めてだ。思わず絶句しちまった。
One moment, I'll be quick. Sorry, I'm back.
それどっちなんだ？
褒めてるんだよ、バカ。
Sojiro was always confused by the phrasing. They could be interpreted by multiple ways. A euphemism, a subtle sarcasm were often lost on him. Subtle. It was only on rare occasions, like this one, where he chose to confirm what was being said. Tobimura had come to suspect that Sojiro had a very black and white way of seeing things.
ところで、その固まった小麦粉みたいなの、美味しいのか？
Sojiro stared at the energy bar with a curious look on his face.
まずくはねえが、うまくもねえよ。まあ、試してみる分には止めねえが。人間、何事も手間暇惜しむようになっちゃおしまいだぜ。ことが三大欲求ならなおさらだ。
Tobimaru quickly finished off his bar, put another one on this table, and grabbed one of Sojiro's rice ball. Sojiro failed to notice the rudeness of the first exchange. He gave the proffered energy bar a try.
なんだか土を食べてるみたいだ。
違いない。遊びをなくせば人生こんなもんだって見本だな。
Out of principle, Sojiro labored over his energy bar, cringing all the while. He was but curious over the unknown, allowed to leave something unfinished.
今無理に平らげる必要はねえぞ。そいつの利点は携帯食ってところだからな。素で味気ないが、食えるうちは味が落ちないのがいいところだ。まあ、そっちはともかく。どうだ、少しは慣れたか？
ああ、飛丸や青崎が気を使ってくれているからね。
Tobimaru turned his eyes up to the ceiling, unable to handle Sojiro's carefree smile. As absent-minded as Sojiro might have been, his expressions were nonetheless incredibly earnest. He felt like posing to someone as self-absorbed as Tobimaru.
だから青崎は来ねえんだよな。
He took a bite from the rice bowl to steer himself away from such thoughts. Thoughts now cold. The rice had managed to maintain its freshness, startling Tobimaru.
いや待て、気を使ってんのは俺だけじゃねえか。青崎なんてお前が転入した日に彼迷惑だから見張ってての一言だけだぞ。
なんでそこで君が怒るんだ？
だからだな。お前が学校になれるよう陰ながら見守ってんのは俺で、青崎は生徒会室で全校生徒の弱みを集めてるだけって話だ。面倒な苦労してんのは俺だけじゃねえかって。
Tobimaru stopped himself, realizing how ridiculous it sounded. Sojiro, rightly so, knew it was nothing to get this upset over.
まあいいさ。青崎に言いつけられなきゃこうなることもなかったしな。知ってるか、あいつどうして俺にこんな役させたと思う？
副会長だからだろ。
Tobimaru's handsome face went dark.
あのな、どうして副会長が転入生一人にかかりっきりにならなくちゃいけねえんだよ。いいぜ。機会があったら青崎本人に聞いてみな。あいつの本性がわかるからよ。
He snatched another bite of the rice ball while grumbling under his breath. There it was again. Rice grains that were just dry enough to be fresh, a tender in mouth, a morsel that betrayed his humble description, which must have been delicately molded by a master chef, rather than haphazardly clumped into a bowl.
そして何よりこの塩加減、中の具から染み出した厳妙な醤油加減はどうだ。食欲をそそるどころか脳を食欲だけにするような。
飛び丸、思ってることが口に出てるみたいだけど。
ああ、いや、それほどのショックだったってわけだ。なあ、その字、これ具は何だ？
It was only natural to inquire about the unexpectedly delicious bite. He had been nibbling around the edge, and had not yet reached its center.
ああ、それはイナゴ。
ありえねえ。
The vice president shook on his cough. He assumed that Sojiro would have preferred earthly ingredient instead of seafood on account of the mountain life, but never expected he would use grasshoppers.
くそ、食う前に言えよな。信じられねえぐらいうまいと思っちまったじゃねえか。
ああ、今のは嘘だよ。
They looked at eyes for a moment.
本当は鮭。いくらなんでもイナゴはね。
おお、そうだよな。いや、安心した。いくらなんでもイナゴはねえよな。
ああ、こんな都会で身の締まったイナゴが手に入るもんか。
As curious those words were, Tobimaru decided to let them go.
たく、どっちにしても冗談きついぜ。危うく吐き出すところだったじゃねえか。らしくねえぞ、宗十郎。
君が青崎の悪口を言うからだ。
Sojiro closed his eye and continued to chew on his rice bowl. To be Maru watched incredulously as Sojiro made no attempt to hide his disapproval.
おい、今のはさすがに聞き捨てならねえぞ。俺が青崎の悪口を言ったから意種返しをしたと、そういうことか？
Sojiro continues chewing. The country boy sallied to present, said all that needed to be said. The vice president suddenly looked like he had been struck by lightning.
なんてこった。お前、まさか青崎に惚れてんのか？そうなのか？そうなんだな。おい、眠ってねえで起きろ。
Tobimaru flew out of his chair and violently shook Sojiro by the shoulders. Sojiro opened his eyes.
そうか。お前は1年前の惨劇を知らないんだな。知ってりゃ、そんなストレートな破滅願望を持つこともなかったろうに。
君の言葉には誤解が含まれてるけど、それは後にする。それより、1年前の惨劇って？
ん？
Tobimaru regained his composure and sat down after a moment's thought.
仕方ねえ。この手の噂をするのは好きじゃねえんだけどな。
Tobimaru reassured himself that it was in Sojiro's best interest as a young man to know.
あれは青崎がまだ1年の頃の話だ。あの頃はみんな入学したばっかりで、青崎がどんな性格か誰も知らなかった。あいつ、外見は文句なしに美人だからな。そりゃ男どもは狂気乱舞したもんさ。4月5月はもう上を下への大騒ぎだよ。あの時ばかりは上級生も下級生もなかったな。野郎同士の牽制、共闘、果ては決闘まで。まあよくも騒いだもんさ。青崎に近寄るだけでも大変だったんだぜ。
なんでそんなよくわからない事態になるんだ？
そりゃ青崎は一人きり、命知らずな野郎は延べ100人ほどいたからだよ。一人一人青崎とランチしても3ヶ月かかるだろ。だからまずは男同士でつまんねえ暗闘があったのさ。まあいい。わからねえならそこは飛ばそう。所詮負け犬どもの話だしな。本筋にはなりえねえ。でな、そんなどうでもいい戦いを勝ち残った奴らは列なしで1年の女に言い寄ったわけだ。青崎はあれで、なんていうか、相手のなけなしの誠意じゃなくてあれか、勇気、そういうのを無視できずに認めちまうやつだからな。言い寄ってくる相手を可能な限り丁寧に断ってた。が、中にはそれで勘違いしちまうやつもいたよ。 3年のある野郎がこれは脈ありと見て青崎に何度も言い寄ったんだよ。多分そいつ頭がおかしかったんだ。今にして思うとそうとしか思えん。
Accidentally, Tobimaru decided to gloss over the fact that his student was also the former student council president.
学園ばかりか。青崎の家まで押しかけたそうでな。あまりにしつこいんで青崎も堪忍袋の尾が切れたんだろう。ちょっと口にするのははばかられる方法で振ったんだよ。結果、そいつは自分から他校に転入希望したばかりか、三崎町からも逃げ出しちまって、青崎も1ヶ月ばかり自宅謹慎を食らった。世に言う血の公会堂事件だ。詳しく知りたけりゃ本人はまずいな。新聞部にでも行け。あそこの部長は命知らずだから聞けば面白がって教えてくれる。
飛び丸、その具体的な表現を恋に避けてないか。
仕方ねえだろ。理事長の息子だろうがなんだろうが、怖いものは怖えし、高校ぐらいは無事卒業しとかねえとな。うちの女子の制服見るたびに規制を上げるトラウマなんて持ちたくねえよ。
Sojiro tilted his head to the set in confusion. Tomimaru had lost him with that comment.
ああ、いい。それより、なんで青崎なんかがいいんだよ、宗次郎。
He tilted his head again, this time to the other side.
おい、お前、本当に青崎が好きなのか？単に胸がドキドキ言ってるだけなら、それは恋じゃなくて恐怖だってオチもあるぜ。いくらその字がぼんやりでも理由ってもんがあるだろう。
Tilted his head even further. What Tobimaru was saying sounded off, but Sojiro decided not to press the matter. All the more because he found many of his own emotion towards Saoko Ozaki to be incomprehensible.
そうだな、おかしい。俺はあまり彼女を知らないのにね。
That was because they had not truly spoken to each other since the day she showed him around. Every time Sojiro tried to talk to her, she immediately got up and left. And fate will have it, they ended up working together the recent Sunday to make only idle chatter on the way back.
けど飛び丸、君は知らないだけなんだ。時々なんだが、誰かの視線を感じて振り返ってみると、いつ失敗するかを心配して見ている人がいる。 飛び丸の言う通り、ただ廊下で俺を見かけて単に監視していただけなのかもしれない。本当は俺のことなんて気にせず素通りしたいのかもしれない。けどどんな種類であれ彼女の心配は本物だ。それにここが一番大事だと思うんだけど、実際の話、青崎のそういうところのおかげで俺は助かっていたりするんだ。
His tone was measured and sincere. Tobimaru sighed with a tingle of regret. If not for those words, we could have introduced Sojiro to a more suitable girl with whom we could have lived out the rest of his school days in peace. He never went to such length for his other friends. Generally speaking, it was of some benefit of him. He wasn't afraid of exploiting another. If they were of no use, we did bother getting involved with them. That was how Tobimaru's Kuji operated. Sojiro happened to be the type of person who provided no benefit to Tobimaru, yet somehow sparked in him a desire to help. It was not that friendship was completely alien to him. He just did not have many people he felt that close to. So if Sojiro had really fallen for Aoko, it was not his place, as a friend, to try to change his mind.
やれやれ。結局、惚れてるやつには理由なんていらねえんだな。
そんなことはない。理由なら一つある。彼女を一目見たときに綺麗だなって思ったぞ。
ん
Tobimaru's shoulders slumped.
なんだあんだけ恥ずかしいセリフ言っといて、要は外見に惚れてますな。結局見てくれかよ、宗次郎。
綺麗なものに見とれるのはいいことじゃないのか？自分を綺麗に見せる努力をしているんだから、外見から内面を判断するのはそんなおかしな話じゃないと思う。
He sounded like a sophism to Tobimaru. He had no counterpoint to offer.
しょうがねえ。わかったよ。この話はもうやめよう。その字が誰をてめえの女にするか、俺の知ったことじゃねえし。
ちゃう。
Hey Mystic, long time no see. How are you doing? About what made you think that
Yeah, I'm
Tobimaru?
good and you.
I'm doing fine. Reading visual novels for also I'm playing the second chapter of Legend of Heroes. I decided to cycle between the two of them instead of focusing on one. Namely, the Sojiro was not head over heels in love with Aokon. I finished it. Well, no. Only... how was he called? How was she called? The one with Masamune. The reincarnation of justice. Merely link her as a person.
Okay, there is still more to the STPRY.
Yes, I'm aware. Also, I tried the second chapter of The Legend of Heroes. It looks more promising than the first. Also, I'm happy that I could party with the senior we fought during the championship in the first one, especially with the cute girl with the ribbon.
だがよ、一つだけ忠告しておくぜ、宗次郎。青崎は喧嘩をした相手だろうと別に嫌うわけじゃない。逆に言えば親切にしたって別に好かれるわけでもない。いい例が俺だ。
So, have you heard of Tsukihime and the Type Moon visual novels? This one is another one of made by them. Spoke with a pain sign as the opening old wounds from the past.
そうか、詳しく。
おう、昔な、あいつがあんまりに独善的だったんで、つい手を挙げかけちまったことがある。半年前の夏だ。1年もあいつと生徒会やってたもんだから、俺も女っつうより戦友って気になっててな。つい勢いで平手打ちをしようと右手を上げた。我ながら4番バッターも角也という腰のひねり。確かな実感とともに俺は勝利を確信したもんさ。
He had a distant look in his eyes, and his words trailed off.
翌日になって、こりゃ完全に敵扱いされたなと覚悟して生徒会室に行ってみりゃ、青崎はいつも通りだった。で、以来あいつと俺は会長と副会長で収まってる。
Sojiro sighed at the story. He then said, with absolute confidence,
今の話を総合すると、君は単にのろけたいのか？
Clearly, he had missed the point entirely.
なわけあるか！今の話のどこに甘酸っぱい要素があんだよ。俺としちゃあいつを女として見なくなった決定的な事件だったんだがね。
なんだ、違うのか。
A look of disappointment flitted across Sojiro's face. Tobimaru revised his opinion of him. Sojiro was something of a simpleton, but there was something more about him that Tobimaru could not quite place.
とにかくだ。俺が言いたいのは、青崎青子の好き嫌いの基準ってのは普通じゃないってことだ。いいことをすれば好かれる。気に入らないことをすれば嫌われる。ってわけじゃねえんだよ。あのお姫様は。
Sojiro answered that he would keep in mind, as he looked at the clock. They had been talking for a while. Lunch was almost over.
もう君からの話はないか？
あ？初めからねえよ、そんなの。
Why had Tomimaru even brought him here in the first place? Sojiro tilted his head in wonder but shock. It off to deal with more pressing matter at hand.
よし。じゃあもう少し付き合ってくれ。飛び丸に聞きたいことがあったんだ。
ん？
Tobimaru sat up straight, having never seen Sojiro face look so serious before. Sojiro set aside his rice bowl and cleared his throat.
実は昨日、こんなことがあって。
He spoke solemnly. As carefully as possible, he recounted what had occurred night before.
しずきくんいる？
It was 10 to 12 and lunch time was quickly coming to an end. Her face popped into Class C, as lively as ever, as if it were an everyday occurrence. Aoko Ozaki announced her presence. While Aoko wasn't part of Class C, she didn't let it bother her, as she casually entered the classroom. In contrast, the baby birds who had been so noisily chirping while eating lunch quickly quiet and began to rearrange their seats.
どういう意味よそれ。
She briskly turned before looking around the room. She could not see the male student she had come here to find. He hardly stood out, so she thought he might be hidden in a corner somewhere, but that appeared not to be the case.
有里くん、出席番号12番のしずきくんは？
俺？しずきならさっき飛び丸殿下が連れて行ったよ。
The boy was shocked that she actually knew his name. One might think that the reason student referred to Domimaru Tsuki by a royal title was because he was the chairman's son, but it was because he actually acted like royalty. In fact, the vice president was said to have taken a like to the title.
飛び丸があいつしずきくんと仲いいの？
She seemed surprised. The class seemed surprised at her surprise.
いいも悪いも築地くんが男子と仲良く話してるのって今まで見たことなかったよ、私たち。あ、木の実くんはバカだから別だけど。
そうだよな。初めは殿下もあんまり話してなかったけど、3日もしたら楽しそうに口喧嘩してたもんな。
ま、しずき相手に突っ張っても仕方ないじゃん。あいつ変だけどいいやつだし。
そうよね。いい人だもんね、宗十郎くん。
Having recomposed themselves, classes started chatting again. Hauko listened for a bit before turning around and leaving the class with a later. All the Sojiro talk finished as quickly as it had started. Lunchtime was coming to a close in the student council room. Sojiro, having told his story, was smiling in satisfaction. Tobimaru, still sitting across from him, was frowning.
さあ、感想を聞かせてくれ。
Sojiro told his yarn as best he could. Tobimaru fingered his brow if he was angry or concerned.
なあ、その字。お前、人をバカにできるほど器用なやつじゃねえよな。
Sonoji?
失礼な。器用な方だぞ、俺は。
His response only confirmed Tobimaru's suspicions. It had to be one of two possible conclusions. That what Sojiro had just told him was true, or that Sojiro was so tired that he must have been hallucinating at the time. Tobimaru sincerely hoped it was the latter.
宗十郎、率直に言って、俺はお前が気に入っている。嘘のない人間なんてのは人間じゃねえ。俺は人間嫌いだからそんなお前さんが気に入ってたりするんだが、そんなやつまで馬鹿げたことを言い出したら、俺は明日から何を頼りに昼飯を食えばいいんだ。
学食で食べればいいんじゃないか。
Hearing his suggestion, Tobimaru's face darkened.
わかった。はっきり言おう。それは幻覚だ。幽霊の正体見たり枯れ尾花ってやつだろうさ。それでも納得いかないってんなら、いい精神科を紹介してやる。
それが君の感想か。よし、ならいいんだ。
As bitter as Tobimaru's words might have been sounded to most, Sojiro swallowed the whole.
そりゃ俺だって神隠しの類だと思ったよ。けど都会じゃもしかしてそれもありなのかもしれないだろ。確かめたかったのはそこなんだ。
Satisfied, Sojiro finished off his last rice ball and neatly folded the cloth.
おい、すると何か？お前は都会の人間は口から火を吹いたり腕が伸びたりするのが普通だと思ったのか？
まあ普通じゃないけど特別でもないんじゃないかと思ったんだ。ここは山にないものが溢れている何でもありの場所だ。だからそれぐらいやってのける人だってもしかしているのかなと。
As his face was as serious as it was made, Tobimaru realized just how big a culture shock Sojiro must have been experiencing. Living up in the mountains, with no electricity, in a place where the night sky was as it always had been, where humans were just one more organism in nature's garden, it makes sense that those conditions would create a boy like him. The idea of children growing up so pure was an appealing one, but maybe it was natural to forgo civilization when your population was so small. Or perhaps it was so simple, a world that excessive knowledge was deemed irrelevant. It was precisely because city life offered him so much that was impossible up until now he had come to the conclusion that anything was possible here.
安心しろ。確かにこっちにはたちの悪い奴らばっかりだけどな。そんな魔法使いみたいな奴はいねえよ。
そうだといいんだけど。
But Sojiro seemed unsure. And on Tobimaru's part, there were things to Sojiro's story that he found hard to swallow. Whether true or not, the incident that Sojiro had described was disturbing.
まあ、事の真偽というか、どんな間違いでそう見えたかは置いておいてだ。結果だけ見れば、うちの生徒が夜の公園で人を殺したってことになる。しかも双方控えめに表現しても普通じゃね
え。As a newcomer to town, Sojiro assumed that everyone his age was a student at his school. For better or worse, it was right.
一人は火炎放射器を持って、もう一人は、まあなんだ、なぎなたでも持ち出したのか、刃物らしきものが何メートルも伸びたときた。
Sojiro bobbed his head up and down as he listened to disbelief in Tobimaru's voice. Hearing it repeated by someone else, he could see how someone might think he was taking them for a ride.
正気を疑うな。尋常じゃないぞその話。
宗十郎、お前、実は俺をからかってんだろ。
いや、全く。けどまあ、都会にはそんな人間はいないんだろう。なら飛び丸の言う通り、夢でも見てたんだ。ここのところアルバイトと試験が重なって辛くて。
Winter break was just around the corner, and the end of term exams were about a week away. We were proving formidable opponents for Sojiro.
俺は基本ができてないから、人の倍程度の勉強じゃ追いつけない。ほら、勉強ばかりしているとノイローゼをするんだろう。
そりゃするんじゃなくてなるものだが、何にせよやりすぎ飲みすぎは良くねえわな。試験前ぐらいはバイト減らしたらどうだ？
減らしてはいるんだけどね。年末ってアルバイトを休む人も多くて、その代行も頼まれがちだし。
He shrugged helplessly. It was obvious from his words that he had been boozy. Even he was not going crazy. Lack of sleep could have caused him to daydream. Even his all did go down in the middle of the night.
なんだか大変そうだな、操縦を。
ああ、実はかなり参ってる。都会の暮らしは深刻だ。
Sojiro nodded with a pained look on his face. What was strange, however, was that he did not look the least bit tired.
泣き言言わねえのは感心するけどな。お前、新郎は顔に出ないたちか？
そりゃ、新郎はどこも痛まないからね。
As he answered, Sojiro looked up at the clock on the wall. Lunchtime was almost over.
飛び丸、時間だ。
ああ、もうそんなに経ったか。気にせず先に行ってていいぜ。俺はまだ用があるからよ。
Sojiro watches Tobimaru made a gesture that seemed to lament the life of a student council member. His eye looked as if they were looking at a piece of art and not understanding its value.
授業をサボれる身分っていうのは羨ましいな。そういうの、飛び丸が嫌いな手抜きじゃないのか？
そりゃ誤解も甚だしい。俺の欠席は手抜きじゃねえ。特権ってやつだと言ったろ。
The vice president angrily defended himself as he stood up. The transfer student merely gazed at him, unfazed.
おいおい、あれだけ説明したのに全然分かってなかったのか？しょうがねえ。まず座れ。いいか、その字。常人を上回る英気と幸運を兼ね備えながら、座することなく精進してきた俺でも、ここを卒業しちまえば裸一貫になっちまうんだぞ。ひでえ話だ。てめえの家柄を活用できんのはあと1年ちょいだけなんだぜ。これの一体どこが羨ましいってんだ？普通一生続くはずの 親の七光ってやつが俺の場合はたった3年間しかねえんだからな。となりゃ有効なうちに使っておかなきゃもったいなくておちおち眠ってもいられね
え。Be right back.
嫌だ嫌だ。何が嫌かって、バカどもとガン首並べて金勘定するのが嫌だ。たく、嫉妬渦巻く大人の世界じゃ、俺のオブラートみたいな心なんてパックリ飲まれて溶けちまうこと受け合いだろうさ。
While he must have been joking, Sojiro took his tone to be completely sincere. The listeners envy at Tobimaru's ability to be so open about his feelings. From his frame of reference, there was nothing he could do but take Tobimaru's for his words. When,
あら、そんな権利なんて留年すればいくらでも引き延ばせるのに。なんなら協力してあげましょうか。この私でよろしければ。
the door to the student council room flew open, pushing away Sojiro's half-hearted response to his friend. This frosty statement destroyed the warm atmosphere of the room. And he also marked the abrupt end to Tobimaru's Tsuki reign there.
いや、いい。自分の夢は自分の力だけで叶えようと常々思ってるんだ。
そなら今みたいな恥ずかしいこと力説しないでね。廊下にまで聞こえてたわよ、副会長さん。
Not missing a beat, Aoko Otsaki stepped inside the room. Her dark hair was slightly disheveled as if she had been running. Her gaze missed the sitting Sojiro entirely and was focused completely on the ranting vice president.
頑張れ、飛び丸。
Sojiro quietly got up to head back to his classroom.
割と薄情なんだな、お前って。
Tobimaru grumbled in front of Aoko.
だって時間がない。
だから、そういうのが薄情とだな。
He cut himself out. Aoko briefly shifted her gaze to Sojiro.
時間がないのは私も同じよ。あなたにはいつも振り回される。
Not a complaint. It was her honest opinion.
なんだ、要件は総十郎かよ。
安心なさい。あなたにもあるから。
Her eyes shimmered with a murderous glee. It was slightly different from the more sullen gaze to which Tobimaru had grown accustomed. For whatever reason, Aoko's mood seemed worse than usual.
しずきくん、あなた、走るのと泳ぐの、どっちが好き？
Aoko asked abruptly. Sojiro frowned a little before saying he was fine with either one.
ダメよ。一つにして。
泳ぐ方かな。けど、どうして？
あなたがまだどこの部にも所属してないから。
A succinct reply. One that left no room for Sojiro to object.
うちの校則読んだわよね。生徒はただ一人の例外もなく部活動に参加しなくてはならない。正直どうかと思う校則だけど、決まりは決まりだから。
そんな無茶な。悪いけどそこまでの暇はないんだ。
でしょうね。
An equally tense response. She was typically to the point, but Obimaru got the impression that she was expressively trying to keep her interaction with the Sojiro short. They stared at each other in silence. Tobimaru stood breathlessly, silent on the sidelines until Sojiro broke the impasse.
青崎は分かってると思ってた。あ、いや違う。きっと分かっているんだな。うん。だから、そこが強いんだろうね。
Sojiro stood up from the seat. He walked past Saoko and into the hallway.
それ、明日からでいいんだろ？
しずきくんがいいならね。
He did his best to force a smile before leaving the student council room. While watching the event play out, Tobimaru found himself deeply impressed with Sojiro. He could tell from Aoko's behavior that she was trying to get a rise out of Sojiro. Sojiro, on the other hand, was none of the wiser to what Aoko was doing, so he simply went about his way. To Tobimaru, it was hard to believe that Sojiro had not taken offense. All he observes was the performance of a lifetime in Sojiro as he maintained a poker face.
いや、でも何が強いんだろうな、会長。
He looked at Aoko curiously. On that face. Aoko stood completely still, staring at the wall.
青崎？
Aoko showed no response.
おい、会長。青崎。青子女子。おい、聞いてんのかよ、青崎青子。
さいはね、青を呼ぶな。
Their fury echoes across the study council room. There was a beautiful sound that could be heard into the hallway, and made Tobimaru runs from earlier pale in comparison.
やかましい。うるせえのはてめえも同じだ。
Rhapsody shouting was still ringing in his ears, but it was just the type to answer a shout with a shout, but he shot back reflectively.
そんなんだから男の一人もできねえんだよ、お前は。ほら、目覚めたか？
別にあなたの声は聞こえてた。煩わしかったから無視してただけよ。黙らせるの面倒だし。
てめえな、俺はカカなんかか、おい。
コミュニケーションが成立しない点で言えば、 あっちのがまだ上品よね。
ほう、その心は？
お互い何を言ってるかわからない。意味のない会話なら仰せみたいなものでしょ。
Based on this statement, Aoko must have been under the assumption that dating is the act of two lovers whispering nonsense to each other.
問題は、お前にとって意味のある会話ってのがどの程度の価値かってことだが、まあいいか。いつになくきついじゃねえか、青崎。
ちょっとね、今愛嬌を振りまける状況じゃないのよ。
不思議だ。この2年間で青崎の愛嬌なんてものは見たことがないんだが。
飛び丸のいない時に振りまいてたの。
そうかよ。やっぱりあの時のこと恨んでるんだろ、生徒会長さんはよ。
There's only one thing that Tobimaru could be talking about. The incident that occurred in the student council room this past summer.
ずいぶんと昔の話じゃないそれ。そんなどうでもいいことに容量を使っちゃもったいないわよ。ただでさえ脳の覚醒部分が少ないのに。
As the conversation went on, Aoko's murderous hours began to fade, and her sharp gaze gave way to a calmer demeanor rarely seen from her. It was quite possible nobody beside Tobimaru had ever seen this side of her at school before.
ご忠告どうも。俺だってあんなことは忘れてよ。ただ、さっきその字がバカなこと言いやがるから、つい思い出しちまったんだよ。くそ、考えてみりゃ場所まで一緒じゃねえか。
Despite his ranting, his face betrayed a touch of nostalgia. Aoko, on the other hand, was growling.
ちょっと待って。あの話、彼にしたの？
ああ、俺がてめえに、なんで会長になんか立候補したのよ。あんたは副会長って顔でしょ、どう見ても。なんて挑発されて、生涯最高の月をしたところまでな。
Aoko let out a sigh, as if relieved that Tobimaru has not told Sujiro the rest of the story. Even if she wasn't sure why.
あれは確かにびっくりするぐらいいい月だった。思わず体が反応しちゃったものね。ところで、私そんなこと言ったっけ？
言った。しかも俺が保健室に運ばれたのをこれ幸いと強引に副会長にしやがった。
Since that day, Tobimaru had served as the vice president, the person who usurped the role from him.
いいけどな。俺に会長職は合わねえって分かったし、副会長の方が性に合ってやがる。 会長なんてやってたら危うく親父みたいな野郎になってただろうしよ。
プライド高い分できることは全部やるからね、飛び丸は。
Gosh, I'm getting tired. I think I'm gonna end it for today. Thanks for watching, if someone is watching.